Hi, I'm going to try this. This is the new caribou, the Honorable Sir David, Emperor of Salt Lake City, the Bard. I love it. Bipolar people, we love the way you guys tease me. Make me feel important, which I know I'm not, but I like to fantasize. There's two things I want to cover in this video. First of all, you Mormons are taught that we can never leave the church unless we're excommunicated. That shows a degree of ignorance. Many people, 100,000 people a year, resigned from the Mormon church, and I'm one of them. I didn't screw a tree or a car or a kid. I didn't drink myself into the curb. I don't take drugs, etc. So you Mormons, I know it brings peace and joy to you to hope that I was excommunicated. I wasn't. I'm just well educated, and I've read your history, and Joseph Smith to me is a pedophile. He is not a prophet. And then the other thing I want to say today, and maybe I can connect these two things together. Last night, I sleep in my chair a lot. I have this reclining chair, and it has a king and a crown on the top, so I can sit up underneath the crown now that I'm emperor. And I have big rings so that the kids can come in and kiss my rings rather than my ass. So, if you ever visit the Emperor of Salt Lake City, be ready to kiss my ring. No ass kissing is required. I fall asleep a lot. I'm older, and I'm on heavy meds, and they make me tired. And unless I'm sitting in front of the screen, I'm usually sleeping. And my beautiful children used to come in and shake me or whatever. And because I was in residential treatment and the director, I'm used to being shocked in the middle of the night, and I have to sleep with my shoes right there, and sometimes in my clothes, because there's riots in residential treatment centers, and I was in charge of the riots. I had to go in and put the damn things down. And so I always am shocked when somebody yells my name, when my wife comes in and says, "The Emperor of Salt Lake City, get the hell out of your chair." I used to just startled. I just come up. Well, I've taught my kids and my wife, just touch me very, very gentle, and I wake right up. And I'm not in a panic and full of adrenaline. And I actually act decent for the first 15 minutes. You know I can't behave after 15 minutes. You're on your own. So I'm in my chair a lot, and I feel a little bit like Captain Kirk. Now, I don't have a Spock in the house, or a Data. I wish Captain Kirk, he didn't have Data. That was on the new Star Trek. But I have an intercom by my chair there, and I can just push a button, and it goes to every room in the house. And I have my incense out of the 60s. I always wanted to have incense. And I've always had kids that are too young, but now I have my incense, so I have a little table that scoots over in front of me like I'm in a hospital. I'm getting ready for that, and I light my incense on there, and then go to sleep in my chair. And I have earphones so that if the Holy Ghost wants to speak to me, or Jesus, if I have read in my hat long enough, if Jesus or Moroni appears to me, they can talk through the headphones. But most of the time the headphones go to the TV on the wall. And you know what? I've got Netflix in the house, but I don't have it in my room. And I prayed and prayed to Jesus to bring me a Netflix, and my wife came home last night and said, we can get a Blu-ray and it'll bring Netflix right up there. And I go, thank you, Jesus. When I want something, I'm like most human beings. I believe in Jesus. When I don't need anything, screw him. Screw him. He's a bad father. He doesn't give me enough. Well, a long story here. I was laying in my chair, and being bipolar, we sleep differently than you normal people. We've got to be very careful. If we get under 5 hours of sleep a night, we wake up manic, and we stay manic. And so I have learned to try to control myself, which you can see has not worked very well. But if I wake up, like last night, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, And I know I have to lay there. I can't get up and go to work. I can't get up and do things in the house. I can watch TV because a lot of times stimulation with bipolar people, it lets our mind rest if our ears are working. So I laid there for a while and finally went back to sleep. And I'm in my chair, in my bed. I go back and forth. So you don't want to live with a bipolar person. It would drive me crazy, but my sweet wife, she just puts up with it. And then my snoring. My 9-year-old Allison, she used to sleep in our bed a lot, and she doesn't anymore. And I asked her, I said, why don't you come in here and sleep? And she goes, Dad, the noise that you make really scares me. I said, if I had to hear it, I'd be scared too, girl. So she goes in her own bed. And of course, when I got her, she wouldn't sleep alone ever. In the Philippines, they all sleep together in one room. And she still doesn't close the bathroom doors all the way. She thinks there's ghosts in there. But she's growing and she's getting better. Well, my standard phrase, anyway, because I get off on a million tangents. In the middle of the night, I'm always aware, because I worked residential treatment. I can feel kids and people around me sound asleep because I had to be quasi-asleep when I'm supervising disturbed kids. They'll get up and beat each other with a baseball bat, start a damn fire, break into the kitchen, steal food. They do some interesting things in the middle of the night. So I could feel the presence of a little person, and she just barely touched me on the leg, and she said, Dad, she says, I'm scared. I said, well, welcome to the real world. The Emperor of Salt Lake is scared of the Danites. I didn't say that. I said, well, honey, do you want to sleep with me in the chair? She goes, yes. And she has this little rabbit. I tease her with this rabbit. She's 9 years old, and she's just in between stuffed animals and a real tweenie. She sings all the songs, she knows all the words, and she has an older sister, and she's really a tweenie. She's a sharp little kid, and she's difficult to raise. Allison is a full parent responsibility, one-on-one. And so she had the little rabbit. Now, I tease her with the rabbit, and I know you guys are going to call social services. And they call the Danite. Social services never comes out. It's just, two guys in a suit and a flaming sword at the door. And I peek through the hole, and I go, holy shit, don't open that door. But anyway, we have a little game that we play, and her little rabbit that she had last night, she brings in. And sometimes she lets me babysit the rabbit. And I like that. I like to take that little rabbit and babysit it, and I just sit it in my lap. And then she climbs up on the bed, and I say to her, Mr. Rabbit wants to fly. And she goes, no, I don't want the rabbit to fly. And I said, well, you're his mommy. You can just go get him. No. So I'm not terrorizing the kids. Don't call social services. It's just a fun little game. And so I throw the rabbit, and sometimes I throw him in the jacuzzi with no water, and sometimes just into the hall. And then she's the little mommy, and she runs and gets the rabbit, and then she holds it in bed, and I try to grab it, but she protects it like a little mother. So we have a lot of fun with the rabbit, and sometimes she lets me babysit it, but most of the time she goes, he doesn't like to land. He likes to fly, but he doesn't like to land. I said, that's human life, honey. We all like to fly, but landing is a bitch. So I said, well, honey, why don't we tie him to the ceiling fan, and then he can fly all the time. He doesn't have to land. And she looks at me like, you dumb shit. Which is true. She said, you're not my father. I go, which is true. So she said, no. I can't reach the ceiling fan. We have cathedral ceilings here in Australia, and the guy that wrote in, or the gal that wrote in, and said, "What are you in Utah or Australia?" I fly between the two places, and do one video there, then one video here. So anyway, she says, "Dad, I'm scared," and I said, "Well, honey, you want to just come up here and lay in the chair?" Yes. And it's the most precious thing, because she's very tiny. When she was in the Philippines, she didn't get enough food, and it has stunted her growth, and she's just very, very petite and very, very tiny. Well, it's one of the few times I get to hold her like a baby, and she goes to sleep, and then I get up later and get in bed, and she wants to sleep in my chair, and she always puts her hand out, and I put my hand out and hold her hand, and then she can go to sleep. The reason I bring that up is for a couple of reasons. One is, when I was a father like you guys are, I worked, God damn, day and night, day and night. I saw my kids around 6:30 in the evening. They went to bed at 9 or 8:30. I got up and I was gone by 5:30. I didn't see these things. I didn't see these things in my first marriages and my first families. I just had to give them braces and yearbooks and tithing, and that was a big expense that I gave to the Mormon Church that I should have never given. I should have given it to my children and family. So one of the reasons I'm telling this barred story is those of you that are working and moms that are going crazy. God, I was a single parent with 4 or 5 kids. I can't even remember. But my little one, Dan, he was 8 months old. And I was working full time. So I know what it feels like to be a mother where you're up at 3:30 in the morning. I remember, I can't think of, it might have been Rachel. She's like 34 now. I remember in the middle of the night, I'm sleeping, and I got to get up at 4:30 to go to work, and here at 2 or 3:30, she's crying. So I have to go in, and she has a tummy hurt and her, whatever. It was a bladder infection. And I took her to the hospital, and I was there, and she got some medication, and I tucked her in to her bed when we got home from the hospital. And as soon as I laid down in bed, the alarm went off. It was 4:30, and I had to go to work, and I hadn't been to sleep 2 or 3 hours. I know what it's like to be a mom. I know what it's like to come home 5:30 in the evening, and you've got kids running all over the house, screaming and yelling, throwing shit, pounding on each other, and you can't get the front door open because of the mess that they've made, and they're asking for supper, and you just want to throw yourself down on the bed and get a little bit of rest, and you don't have time a lot of times for a shower or to put your makeup on or your do your hair. They just take up enormous amount of time. And it's a lot of love. It's a lot, and you'll never get appreciated. Please believe me. Sometimes when you become around 50, your kids will say, well, I said I would never hit my kids, and now I find out why you hit us. I had to tell one of my kids, she had a little girl, oh my God, this little girl, straight from hell. And the mother swore she would never hit the kid because of corporal punishment. And the kid, she had the police. I mean, the kid is like 2 years old. She had the police over to the business in the house, and oh my God, pulls fire alarm. She does everything. And so finally, my daughter started hitting her, and I didn't mind that because I would have probably hit the kid too. But she hit her too much. And I had to sit down with my daughter and say, the child deserves it. In fact, she deserves a bullwhip. But you can't do that, honey. You can't discipline her like that. And if I see you hitting her anymore, savagely, that reminds me of the guy that wrote in and said, you're a godless savage. And boy, don't compliment me like that. I really get a big head. It's like being the emperor. So she finally calmed down, and the little girl, once she could talk, she calmed right down. And girls are so frustrated when they can't talk. That is a very important part of womanhood. They love to talk, and when a little girl can't talk, she can be, a handful. Well, anyway, the reason I'm bringing up the little one coming into the bedroom and being scared is they don't remember that. They don't remember when they become, 18, 25, whatever, and they get married. They don't remember that we were there as the parents. And even though we snored and scared them, they would still come in the room for protection. And I cherish that moment these days. And I'm glad she feels comfortable enough to come to me. Mom doesn't want anyone sleeping with her, including me. And maybe that's where she got the feeling, I don't want anyone sleeping with me. Not totally true, but children, she doesn't like sleeping with her. So the baby comes to me. And I've been used to it. After 14 kids, my God, sleeping alone is something I don't even know what it's all about. I had another little girl, Monica. And Monica was adopted. And I forget this because I don't remember adopted children and natural children. They're just children. And Monica used to carry her night-night. It was a little blanket. And she carried that around the house with her until she was probably 9 or 10. And when we washed it, she cried and cried. She stood in front of the washing machine and the dryer while we were washing her blanket, and she watched it go round and round. And as soon as that dryer turned off, she reached in and got her night-night. If you can, and I know it's impossible, if you can, cherish some of those few moments, because most of you aren't going to have a second family, and you don't have to work. You can be with your kids 24/7. You can go to every PTA meeting. You can sleep all night. You can doze in the daytime. You can watch TV anytime you want. You're retired and you have the pleasure of raising 2 little girls. That doesn't happen to a lot of people, and I know that, and I try to be grateful for that. Now, here's the other part of what I want to say. Monica is a Mormon. And she shuns me. I haven't spoken to Monica in years, and that's okay because I've disowned her, and there's no relationship. Someone wrote in, and when I steal someone else's idea, I don't present it as my own because some of you are a hell of a lot smarter than I am. And I gave this to my wife this morning, who is still mentally LDS. This person said, and I thought it was one of the best pieces of information I've ever gotten, and that is this. If you are a split member family where you're not all Mormon and you're a split member family, go to your non-member or your member spouse and say, I've made a decision. I'm going to have the kids married, and anyone that's a Mormon can't come, and that includes you. You're going to have to sit outside the chapel, and you're going to have to wait for the kids to come out. And because you're a Mormon, you can't attend their wedding. Now, you people, there's 25,000 of you that watch me or have watched me in Utah. Think how that makes you feel. The little one, Allison, last night coming in with the blanket and the night-night, and I had to have surgery on her teeth when she came from the Philippines. $5,000 for teeth cut out because of rot. How do you think that makes a Mormon feel, that because of their religion they can't see the wedding, one of the most special, important days of a child's life? They can't go to the wedding because of their religion. That's what they do to us. We're not of their religion, but they ban us from the wedding of our own children. 20 years, 18 years of love and sacrifice and holding. Little Allison the other day, I have to tell her no, and this is one of the children that can't take no. And oh my gosh, she cried and cried, and I held her for like an hour while she was crying. And my 14-year-old, she's so proud that she's 14 now. And I used to say to her, and I did the other day, I said, Abby, come down here, I want to snuggle you. And she goes downstairs, and she comes up, and she says, Dad, I'm too old for snuggling. I go, damn, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. So I just held her hand, and she laid on the bed there for a few minutes, and was pouring her little heart out about her new boyfriend, and he's going to say this, and I said that, and I listened and tried to give her some advice. Those special moments I missed in my first family. So I'm saying to you, God, if there's any damn way that you can capture, at least in memory, it doesn't have to be in pictures, but in memory, those nights, I've sat with Allison, and I've sat with Abigail. I remember Abigail swallowed a fish bone. Now, the Filipinos eat a lot of fish, and I let them eat their own culture and their own fish, and she swallowed a fish bone. And I sat with her on the couch for an hour or two, and she couldn't get the fish bone down, and I called the paramedics, and then we went to the hospital, and the doctor got the fish bone. Well, we came home, and I think she was maybe 12 when that happened, and she came up to me and she says, "Dad," she says, "no one has ever cared for me like that. No one's ever taken care of me like that." I said, "Well, honey, I'm the dad, and that's what I do." And she says, "Thanks. Thanks a lot." There are those moments in families that we need to cherish. And for the Mormon Church to dash the most important day of a child's life and the most important day of a parent's life because of religion is the most mean, atrocious, wicked doctrine and policy and practice in the Mormon Church. And I say that because been there, done that 2 or 3 times. My kids were married in the temple, and they were either shunning me, that was it, shunning me, and I didn't have a recommend, and I couldn't go to see their wedding. And so all those precious moments of holding the kids when they're sick, and you know, again, little Allison, she just breaks my heart. When she's sick, she wants medication, and you know, she's always asking, well, Benadryl, I can't say it now. Advil, aspirin. You know, what, Dad, could I take? My nose is running and my stomach hurts. And the other, oh God, it's been a month. She came into the room and she was throwing up. I had to go get her a pan out of the kitchen and lay by her and hold the pan. Those are the moments. Those are the moments that I want you and me, I'm talking to me too, to remember. And when a religion is so mean and so evil, it's hard to forgive them because that moment is gone. That moment will never happen again. And if that religion thinks that that punishment is going to make me feel good towards that religion and want to be part of that religion and be punitive and go against my morals and my principles and try to intimidate me, they're dealing with the wrong person. I just resigned. I said, you know what? I don't want my name associated with you people. I'm an atheist, and my standards are higher. I would never, never ban a parent from seeing the wedding of their children.
Someone's here.
Oh, okay. Tell them I'll be right down. That's Allison. All right, well, I'm going to close this because I have a salesperson at the door. I hope it's not the missionaries. But anyway, I've got to go. So find those precious moments. Cherish them. And it's the good things of life. Thanks.